Hi everybody, we're back again, and this is just a brief introduction to the next set of tutorials. So where we left off last time, we ended up with this very rough approximation of the face, just roughing in the overall forms and making sure our geometry is flowing the way we want it to section off the face, to get this big edge loop going in here, to hint at the sternomastoid muscle to put the neck in, just to round off the head a little bit. You can see we've got no real indication of the eye, nose, or mouth yet, but we're going to start refining this a little bit now. So we're starting from this, and what I want to end up with by the time I finish this next set of tutorials is a head template that shapes something like this. So you can see I've added a lot more detail, and I've put in some space for the mouth. I've hinted at the mouth and the eye, and not just putting in the form, but I've again arranged my topology to get it flowing in the way that I want. So here you can see I've got this nice edge loop going around for the mouth, a good edge loop going around for the eye. This is simulating the underlying musculature of these areas. So if we need to sculpt the face to different facial expressions, it will deform properly as a real face would. And you can see that I've got some form coming in here, showing like the nasolabial fold, things like that. Now if I turn on the tissue depth markers, you can see that I'm using them as a guide, and if I even turn on the skull and the mandible here, you can see that I'm not just using the images of the face as a guide, but I'm also constantly referring to the skull and the tissue depth markers. Because as you know, we didn't use all the tissue depth markers to draw the face. Some of them were foreshortened and they didn't really influence it yet. You can see that I haven't really approximated all of these tissue depth markers yet. We'll get to those as we add more topology. So when I talk about adding more topology or resolution to the face, or more geometry, that just means I'm subdividing more of these polygon faces. And by subdividing, I can add an increasing amount of detail. So that's what I mean by resolution, topology, subdivision, adding polygons, all that sort of stuff. So as I start to add it, we can approximate the tissue depth markers a little more closely. This one you can see is not being approximated very closely at all in this area of the cheekbone and the buccal region. But as I start to subdivide in here and add some more edges and polygon faces, I can start to more closely approximate what the skull is telling us. So we're going to start with this, and we'll end up with something like this. And this is the very rough template head that can almost be used for any skull. Now, of course, each skull is going to be different, but we have all the major forms built in here, except the nose. And the ear is an add-on later on. We can always make a template ear and add it on anytime. But we've got all the basic geometry that we need here. So I've gotten to this stage and I've saved this out as my template skull that I'll use, or face that I'll use for other models. But let's go into how we get to this from our very, very rough models. So that's what you'll see in the next tutorials. Thanks.